you're harder than this thing, you know where you belong. And if you're harder than this thing, you wouldn't be alone. If you're harder than this thing, you know where you belong. And if you're harder than this thing, you wouldn't be alone.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the Revolution Within podcast. I'm Dana, your host. Thanks for being here with me today. So I'm sitting in my comfy chair in the corner today. This is the podcast where you're learning how to revolutionize your relationship with yourself by ditching people-pleasing, prioritizing self-kindness, and finding the fun in dysfunctional. We are making our dysfunctional emotions way more manageable in the day-to-day. That's what we're doing here. So I am looking at my notes here. If you're noticing me looking away, it is because I am reading my notes. I am not being rude. I am just trying to stay on script so that I don't go off on some weird random tangent, because that is what people with ADHD do. We go on weird random tangents and then we lose the plot, and then you're wondering what the hell we're talking about. So I'm gonna not do that. I'm just gonna stay right here with you. But first, before I get into our topic today, which is self-kindness, includes self-preservation, some housekeeping. Let me tell you how you can connect with me, and if you want to work with me, you want to go to my website, which is revolution-within.com. I'm on Instagram at revolution_within31, and you can reach me via email at Dana, D-A-N-A, at revolution-within.com. Best thing to do is to go to my website and get on my email list so that you'll get all of my correspondence for my upcoming book and courses that are coming out. If you want to do one-on-one coaching with me, I have a package available for that, all the things. When you go to my website, there's a pop-up and you can put your name and email address in there and you'll get on my email list. Okay, so let's get into the topic. I was having this conversation with my husband a couple of days ago about kindness, because that's my favorite topic, self-kindness, as I believe that all lasting change leads back to having a firm grasp on really, really practicing how to be really kind to yourself. And it's challenging because we're not conditioned to be that way. Most of us are conditioned to not be kind to ourselves. We're really hard on ourselves. We get to the end of the day and we look back and we think, I should have done more. We accomplish something and we think, I could have done better. We reach our goal and we move the goalpost. Just me? Nah, I doubt it's just me. Anyway, back to the conversation I was having with my husband. This past week, things have been happening politically. It's getting real wild here. I'm going to avoid going into it. Let's just say that it's been a real struggle to remain kind. And he reminded me that I emphasize self-kindness, and that means that I don't have to pander to nitwits, you know. That self-kindness includes self-preservation. It includes stepping away from the news. It includes taking breathers from the scary shit that's happening. Now, have I done any of that? No, but I have been trying. I come from a long line of people who are very passionate about human rights, the common man, as you like to say. We can get pretty heated about things, and what's going on right now has me pretty heated. It's based in a generational pattern of fear and scarcity, and it takes a lot of energy for me to pull my focus away from that scarcity mindset and toward following my purpose. And my purpose isn't to perpetuate fear and scarcity, it's to raise the vibration of hope, and kindness, and healing. And I think it's really important to face these days together with kindness and compassion, not further finger pointing, I told you so's, and divisiveness, no matter how tempting it is to do that. And it is so tempting to do that right now. But having said that, I'm in the habit of falling back into the pattern of being really hard on myself when I spend time doom scrolling, reading articles, going into things, making comments, getting into back and forths with associates that I used to work with who were quoting Bible things and getting religious on my Facebook wall, and that these habits are really well-worn patterns for me, and they take time to rework. I need to step away. I need to understand that not everyone thinks the way that I do. We all have different backgrounds, and just because I am no longer indoctrinated, by religious idealism and brainwashery, other people still are. So, and then I need to show compassion and kindness for people who still fall under the under that umbrella. So, yeah, doom scrolling takes time. That pattern takes time to rework. Anyway, I talked about all this in an article that I wrote and posted on my Substack this week. If you want to follow my Substack, I would really love it if people would subscribe to my Substack. That would be really rad. It's my Substack is Revolution Within 31. Substack, if you don't know what it is, it's basically social media for writers. It's an app for writers, and it's picking up a lot of steam for people who are jumping ship from Meta, because, you know, oligarchs are, let's get away from the whole social media thing right now, Dana. I'm talking about self-kindness. All right. I want to talk about the idea of breaking well-worn patterns of, like, being hard on yourself. I'm not going to get all super sciencey here, but I'd like to explain how we can rewire our brain, change a habit, including the practice of self-kindness, which is the most crucial habit to begin to practice. Our brains have loads and loads of neural pathways. Imagine these neural pathways as like riverbeds. And in the riverbeds are the rivers. The rivers are the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And they run through the neural pathways, which are the riverbeds. And if we want to change a habit, we have to reroute that river. Most habits are rivers, which are deeply worn grooves. Some are streams, you know, a little bit easier, but most are rivers because they often start before we can even remember, when we were little kids. Absolutely anyone can redirect a thought pattern with practice, patience, and persistence. Anyone. But that person has to be willing to change and has to stay committed to not giving up, no matter how hard it can be to stay the course. No one can change you but you, and you cannot change anyone else. Okay, very important to understand that. I think we all kind of lose sight of that. Here's the secret that no one else is telling you, but I'm going to tell you because I'm cool like that. Here it is. There's a main river, okay? All other thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are tributaries of this river, and if you work on rerouting this river, everything else will shift along with it. When you make significant progress with this river, every other thing you've been trying to improve in your life will start getting better. Almost effortlessly. Not effortlessly, but almost effortlessly. Now, what is it? It's learning how to be really kind to yourself. Didn't see that coming, did you? Oh, of course you did. When you're able to reroute that river from mentally kicking the shit out of yourself all the time to being profoundly kind to yourself, everything else shifts. That's the key to the ocean of change that you've been wanting to make in your life. It requires deep, profound self-kindness to remain committed to growth through difficult times, through painful setbacks, through repeated disappointments. Without it, people retreat into their lives of comfortable misery. Now, for more about comfortable misery, I'd like you to go back and listen to episode 4 of this podcast. Episode 4 and 5, they're kind of like a 2-part thing called Unbreaking Your Heart and then Continuing to Unbreak Your Heart, something like that. I talk about comfortable misery, which is basically when you fall into a pattern in your life of just going along to get along and not enjoying life, just working a job you don't really like, or being in a relationship that's just kind of like, I'm just there to be there, and not living an inspired life is comfortable misery. And a lot of people live like that. And it just feels like there should be more to this life than that. I mean, that's how I feel. I think that if you're listening to this, you probably feel the same. Anyway, innate self-kindness, inborn self-kindness is something very few of us have. And we certainly don't stumble upon it in this visually based, consumer-driven society of ours. You know, social media certainly doesn't encourage kindness, particularly not to ourselves. See, our brains and those rivers are wired for survival. Survival is the basic instinct passed down from the very first human. Survival isn't about kindness, is it? It's about every man for himself. Wait, there's no mention of any other gender there, strangely enough, right? It's all about men. And even though modern technology has flown past the Jetsons in ways we never imagined, although I'm still wondering where my hovercraft is, right? Kind of unrealistic, kind of Barbera. Our brains haven't evolved all that much past the fight or flight instincts of the days when man, but only man, right? That's sarcasm, in case you can't tell. When we haven't really, our brains haven't evolved past the days when we were being chased by tigers as food. So our brains are still wired for survival. So a lot of the negativity that we just are inborn with is because our brains just operate for survival. So if you're like, think positive thoughts, we're not wired that way. And it's like you can have all of the mantras and all of the affirmations that you want, but it's almost like toxic positivity comes from just cheer yourself up, because it's something that you really have to practice and actually believe and work yourself into the energy of, or it won't take. That's what I talked about last week on episode 6. Okay, anyway. If you want to start today, I have 4 questions for you to ask yourself. Yeah, not 5, Dana, 4. I have 4 questions for you. How do I think other people see me? How do I see myself? How much do other people's opinions of me matter? And what do I want for myself without anyone else's wants, needs, or desires involved? When you ask these questions, you begin the process of practicing self-kindness, because it begins to show you, you begin to learn who you really are, and you prioritize what you really want, not what other people want you to do for them. Because self-kindness isn't selfish. It's the ultimate way to show kindness to others. Because when you're deeply kind to yourself, anything you do for someone else is done from a place of authenticity, not people-pleasing or martyrdom. Also, for those of you who are always searching for that ever-elusive fairy dust called motivation, here's some magic for you. Self-kindness motivates you to take better care of yourself. It's built right into that ripple effect. And in these trying times, I will encourage you to remember the poignant words of the late brilliant author Michelle McNamara. It's chaos. Be kind. I keep her phrase in the front of my mind to tap on anytime I begin to slide into the chasm of social media doom scrolling. That's a practice that is not kind to me. And I prefer to stay informed without the self-torture of doom scrolling. It's been really hard to not do that this week, though, in particular. Having said that, if those 4 questions are too overwhelming for you and you want to start with something really simple, just try looking in the mirror every morning and reminding yourself that just showing up is enough, that just being you is enough. And I'm forever cheering you on, beautiful dreamers. So that's my episode this week. I just want to say that there is a big game this weekend, and that this Philly girl, well, I live in California, and I've been here 25 years, but I am originally from Philadelphia. Go Birds. Cheering on my team. And I hope you've enjoyed the podcast episode. And thanks so much for joining me. If you have any questions, please, there's an option in the podcast feed that, not on YouTube. Well, on YouTube, you can just leave a comment below. But in the podcast feed, you can leave me a message. There's a way that you can text me a comment. And so feel free to do that. As always, thank you so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe, all the things. I appreciate you, and take care. And just remember, all will be well.
But if your heart is listening, you know